All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the right place. We're not just talking about movies and music. We're going to talk about some important things like don't leave your customers home alone in 2022. What does this mean? We're going to get into what that means in just a minute. I'm sure you guys can have an idea of what it means. But let's first begin and introduce ourselves. And I'm Alex Kutsishin, co-founder CEO here at Sales Boomerang. Again, the other two, we were laughing about this, probably need no introduction, but what kind of hosts would we be if we didn't introduce them? Brian Vieaux is here, CEO and president of Finlocker. Say hello there.
Hey, everybody.
Awesome. And of course, you've heard his voice, but you're not seeing his face just yet.
Is anybody up for a Zoom call?
We got Kevin Peranio.
Hey, this is going to be a better Zoom call than those people had.
Hold on, I got to stop sharing this. I want to pin. I got to do the.
Oh, you go. We got it.
What? Anyone up for a Zoom call? Oh my goodness, this is great. No.
Too soon. Too soon, KP.
Too
That's
soon?
great.
Hey, we're hiring. I know you are too, guys.
That is awesome. So, let's bring this back. Okay, so you've met the panelists, you've met the team that's going to be talking about this, but what are we talking about, right? Don't leave your customers home alone in 2022. What does this mean? It means, do they have a support system? Do they know who their lender is? Do they know who they can trust in moving forward, right? And that's what we're going to be addressing. But first things first, remember, you guys have already been involved. You guys are already in chat. Chris is from New Orleans. What's up, Chris? Who was the last person to write in. By the way, every time you join, you see the chat, you see a state or something, chime in, tell us where you're at. But let's start with this, okay? Let's start with a question, a poll question. You guys are going to see this pop up on screen in just a minute. Have the tables turned yet? What does this actually mean? Have the tables turned on what? Let's answer that for them. Brian, you want to give them a little insight on this? What have the tables turned yet on what? Oh, what is happening right now?
We know for years, if not decades, the prediction is that rates are going to go up. We're going to go into a purchase market, a purchase environment, right? And I think this question is really talking about, are we seeing that pivot happen today? And I teed up pivot for KP to kind of lean in on this as well.
Yes, lean in on this. As I try to fix what's happening on my screen, keep going and tell us more about what you mean about this, KP, before I put the poll on screen for everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, BV, for using the word pivot. It's been very widely used. I see some other lenders are starting to adopt it in the industry. For those that don't know, I'm the chief lending officer and one of the partners over here at Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. We've got 3 channels, and we had a campaign this entire year called Path to Pivot. So the whole point was we are helping originators in all channels pivot to more consumer-facing purchase money activity. That's been our stated goal for a year. And I think everyone will agree that in May, we really flipped to a purchase market. Starting in May of 21, deals started really getting heavier on purchase, and the rate and terms started going down. Now, doesn't mean they're gone, just means that everyone needs to pivot. That also means that if you're a traditional originator or LO, you've got to kind of just pivot a little with what you're doing. You can't just call realtors and beg them for deals. You have to be a little more nuanced. So one of the reasons why I'm on here with these 2 esteemed colleagues of mine is, we're huge fans of Sales Boomerang and also Finlocker. In fact, we've white labeled Finlocker PRMG Data Vault. And we feel that tools like that combined together, handed to a traditional originator, help them pivot into more modern lending. And so,
well, KP, let me interrupt you before you keep going with that thought. Let's get to this poll, and then let's get to that thought. I want to make sure that everyone that's listening gets to answer this question, because then we're going to be able to give insight on the answer, depending on what the answer is. So, have the tables turned yet is all about, are there more people looking at the same opportunities? Because 2 years ago and a year ago, there were more opportunities than people that could even help them. Now, have the tables turned yet? Have they turned? Are there more people, more lenders, more originators, mortgage advisors looking at the exact same deals than there are deals? Have the tables turned yet? That's the real question here that we want to get an answer to. And then I want to get to your point there, Kevin, but let's see what people think. So you guys should see a poll. Everyone answer. Okay. We're going to give this 30 to 60 seconds here. Everyone answer. Have the tables turned yet? Are there more people looking at opportunities than there are opportunities available? Has it happened yet, or is it not yet? What's your thoughts? Are we going to get there sometime mid-year? Let's everybody answer the way they feel. And do you guys see it on screen yet?
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay, there it is. It just popped up. Beautiful. So
the
answer the question. Here we
can't
go.
Vote. Alex,
come on.
Come on, man. You're not letting us vote.
No way. No, you guys would absolutely turn the tables on this turn the table question. Wow. Wait till you see these results. I'm seeing the results in real time, and I wonder if anyone has a guess of what they're going to be. This is great. I'm going to give it another 15 seconds. Have the tables turned yet? Are there more people looking at the same opportunities and less opportunities, or are we not quite there yet? All right, good. Wow, we got more than half the people already answered. I'm going to end this thing last minute. Who's got another answer? Throw it in there. Here we go. And ending the poll. Share results.
Whoa.
You guys seeing this? Can you see the results on your screen?
Oh yeah, 94%.
94% said yes, the tables have already turned. And so let's move forward. And this gives people the opportunity now. Now we can really talk about it. So if the tables have turned, if there are more people looking at the same opportunity as compared to a year ago where there's more opportunities than people, then let's talk about why we're here. Do not leave your customers home alone. If you know there are going to be people looking at your customer, right? More of them. And we know that there's been a pivot that KP has been talking about, then this is the opportunity, KP, for you to talk about that pivot right here. With the market contracting, we just saw the answers, 94%. It's overwhelming that the tables have turned. With the market contracting, how do you, KP, because you're in the shoes of the people that are on this call, like this is you, this is what you do, and this is what you do best. How do you communicate these changes to your team? Like what conversations are you having, and how should we be communicating these changes to our team?
Yeah, let's just start by saying that all of us on here believe in an abundance mindset. Okay.
Yes.
There's a tremendous amount of business out there. I mean, there's definitely more loans than there are originators. All right. There are more loans than there are realtors. Okay. So there's a lot of business getting done. All right. So we're not saying that there's less deals than there are people working for them. But what we're saying is, there are less than there were last year or the year before. Okay. So, we knew this was going to be part of the cycle. We knew that we'd have a $4 trillion year, and now we're going to have a 3.7, 3.8, or 3.6 or whatever $1 trillion year. And congrats on having Mike Fratantoni as one of your guests on one of your webinars. It's pretty amazing, Alex and team.
Yeah, and this will be the chart we'll look at in a second.
What 2.5 trillion? I think is their projection for 22. 2.5 trillion.
For 22, yes, 2.58 is the projection. Yep.
I mean, look, that's a lot of business. I mean, it's still like the 5th or 6th best year ever, right? If that's what comes true. It'll probably be a little higher than what they're projecting. So yeah, there's an abundance of business, but it's a lot less than it was on a $4 trillion year. So all of us lenders, we've all built up. We've gotten where we needed to be to handle the business that we're handling now. And now we're looking at, all right, where's the growth going to come from? It's going to come from purchase business. It's going to come from cash out refinance business. Rate and term refi, sure, there's going to be some of that out there, but not near as much. Some projections have it down as much as 60 to 70% less rate and term refinances.
Wow.
22. So when we say have the tables turn, yeah, there's less deals to fight for. Still plenty of deals to fight for, but less deals to fight for. And when you fight locally, which is what your advantage is over all the big consumer directs, refi shop, price driven, those shops, that's why they're having mass layoffs. They built up with a boom. They made their bucks. Now that stuff doesn't exist like it did. Now they want to pivot. Now they want to talk about pivot. All the hedge fund backed companies, now they want to use the word pivot. Okay, now the refi boom's over. Now let's pivot. We've already been working on purchase business. We've already been working on cash out business. And we've been doing it for years with Sales Boomerang. We've been doing it for the last year and a half with Finlocker. We've been using technology to find a more targeted approach and pivot and find more purchase business locally. So that's been our mindset. We've been working on it for years. For those of us that have been in the business, hell, you don't have to have been in the business like, this old fart for 20 years. I don't even know how long Brian has been in this business. But
I knew that was coming.
You knew it was coming. Love you. But we saw it coming. And for those of us that are kind of newer or newish, there's nothing to be afraid of about this down cycle. But you have to.
So what are you telling your team, Kevin? What are you saying to your team right now?
We're saying rearm, retool, get ready, be targeted, be intelligent, do some more consumer direct activities, right? Lead gen has a kind of a bad connotation to it, right? For most traditional originators or realtors. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with your existing database and putting some triggers on it from Sales Boomerang. Protect your database. That's your farm. Protect your farm. And then go hunt. There are other things you can do to go hunt. You got a prospect. They haven't bought anything yet. Give them a Finlocker. Give them consumer empowerment of their own data. Give them tools to keep in touch with them and call them. Because if you don't call them, all these teams that have been built to do a ton of refi business, they're hungry to make phone calls. They're calling your client if you are not.
This guy's going to call him. If you don't call him, he's calling him. That's what's happening. And so what Kevin is, and I would like to ask you another question, Kevin, because I love how you position this concept of abundance, and that this is an abundant look. I mean, honestly, let's go back to this slide for just a second. 2.5, if it stays there, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. We all believe it's going to be closer to the 3, but let's say it stays there. Like you said, it's still top 3, top 4 in the history. But I want everyone on here to listen to the answer to this question, because what Kevin said is, hey, prepare yourself for purchase. If you've been thinking about it, that's a good conversation to have with your team. Hey, positive, all is well. KP, what about those people that have to talk to their team of all these changes that are coming that aren't quite prepared yet for purchase? Like, what should they be saying to their team now? How do they build in confidence? Because the team goes, hey, we've been doing 95% refi. How are we going to pivot? Or how are we going to move? Is there a message you would recommend for anyone on this call that's like, we're a 95% refi shop, we're kind of scared, we hired a lot of people? Is there anything we need to be like how do we instill confidence?
Well,
if you have anything.
I will tell you that what's different about this part of the cycle at this moment that is less scary than what it used to be like. If you were a refi heavy shop, it was very hard to transition into purchase business, because let's go back to 07, 08, or even 03 for those of you that
we're time traveling now.
We are time traveling. When you wanted to pivot to purchase, you had to then start calling realtors, right? So it wasn't like you had all these different options of how to get purchase business. It was like pre-cell phone, right? Pre-smartphone. You had to call realtors that are like, no, thank you. I'm really happy with my buddy Brian. Like, he really takes good care of me. There's no way you're going to take better care of me. So you're fighting for the same realtors. Realtors were the gatekeepers. Now the consumer's the gatekeeper. If you can find a way to get to a consumer, and there are an abundant amount of ways to get to them. You can advertise on Facebook. You could use Sales Boomerang. You could have a Finlocker. You could just put out on social media videos every day. You could do bomb videos. You could pay for leads. I have a friend who owns a company called CIMA, C-I-M-A. It's like a great alternative to maybe Zillow leads. Maybe you don't want to do Zillow leads. There are so many different ways to get to the consumer first.
I love that.
And that didn't exist before. So there are an abundant amount of ways to get to consumers now to pivot to purchase business. You just got to put in the work.
I love that. So a real quick recap of that, and then let's move forward. What KP is saying is, hey, if you have a team that is only focused on refi and they're concerned of how you're going to pivot, use all of those suggestions. Hey, team, We're going to start doing things on social. We're going to be implementing some new technologies that help us find the people in our database that can take advantage of purchase. We're going to be putting them in better financial situations with somebody like Finlocker. We're going to be buying opportunities or looking at opportunities in new ways, because now the consumer is the gatekeeper, no longer the realtor. KP, I love that. So everyone on the call, please, like, if you are in that position, you just got an amazing script to empower your team with confidence going into 2022, because you want to start the year off right. You want to set the precedents up front and show them what you're going to be doing. So what does it mean to be home alone, right? When you're left home alone, you're without a financial partner, right? Which means there's no support system. You got this guy sticking his head through your door and saying, hey, you need a loan, but you don't know if they're offering you the best thing. You don't know if they have your best interest in mind. There's a lot of unknowns when you don't have a financial partner you can rely on. So don't do that to your customers. Be that financial partner, right? They're gonna have to figure it out all on their own, right? They're gonna have to go to the market, ask questions, see what they qualify for, possibly get denied, possibly get put through an unexperienced and a bad process. Don't do that to your customer. And of course, susceptible to situations like this, where somebody can just come in. If they don't know they have a good financial partner in you, they're going to be open to robbers, people coming into their home and saying, hey, I can help you because your financial partner is in there. And I think it was you, Brian, that said yesterday, if you're not calling your client, don't think that somebody else isn't, right?
Oh yeah. There's still, like Kevin said, that these platforms that were focused on refi, they'll try to pivot, and that part of that pivot will be to use the same strategy they use in refi. And so there's people smiling and dialing all day. So yeah, it's super important to stay connected.
So in that mindset, right? So we're talking about protecting, right? How do you create a strategy for yourself that's based on defense and offense, right? How do you make sure that you have a way to let your customer know that you have their back, right? And so one of my favorite things about this slide is this robbers, they have no chance, and all of the sensitive information. And Brian is about to get into this about Finlocker, but this is really cool. All the sensitive information is stored in the most secure way ever invented in the mortgage industry, and that's Finlocker, which gives the consumer the confidence to say, look, when I'm ready, I know I don't have to dig things up and request information again and again and again. It's all stored for me with a partner that I trust. It's my Finlocker, right? This is mine. And I know that no one can get into it. And I know you're about to talk more about that in just a second here. And then the offense, right? You always want to play defense and offense. And offense is you have the ability to be able to schedule future loans. What better way to take care of your customer than to be able to say to your customer, look, don't worry about people sticking their heads into your house and saying, I can help you. They're talking to the public. We have your next best loan figured out for you, just for you. So don't speak broadly, speak to me specifically about my needs, my desires, what I signed up for with you in the first place. And of course, the other offensive plays here is knowing exactly what your borrower is qualified for. So you want to have both, right? And we're going to get into that now. So for those of you that don't know what Finlocker is all about and how don't leave your customer home alone, how this fits in perfectly, Brian, give us a little bit about you and the company.
Sure. Thanks, Alex. And this is a good segue from KP talking about acquiring leads either organically through your own means and mechanisms, whether it's your own social media, your own local campaigning, or if you're acquiring leads from other parties. KP mentioned Cena. There's folks like TransUnion that can provide lenders with a predictive set of data that identifies prospective home buyers in the next 6 to 18 to 36 months. So what we talk about at Finlocker is getting up the funnel, right? Engaging consumers well before the point of sale. We're talking about engaging consumers at the point of thought or earlier. And that engagement includes being the trusted resource, the trusted partner that's providing them tools to answer the questions that a first-time home buyer in particular has months before they're ready to sign on a purchase agreement, right? How much can I afford?
Right.
What kind of down payment do I need? How much should I be saving for my closing costs and my reserves? After I own the home, after I have the mortgage, what should I have in savings to support the maintenance of that home. And so the Finlocker tool is a B2B2C private label solution. So it's not Finlocker in front of the consumer, it's PRMG or the Paramount Data Vault, as KP said, that PRMG is providing to their prospects and consumers to engage and help those consumers in that early journey experience. So that's kind of how you kind of pivot from lead gen to engaging consumers in a unique, innovative, and meaningful way that now brings them into your ecosystem. And maybe it's 3 months, 6 months, could be 36 months, but when they are ready, they're already in your ecosystem.
Yes, I love that. And so that speeds up the process and it creates that confidence and trust, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. And by the way, as we move to the next slide, anyone currently using Finlocker, throw it into chat. You know, we may pick on you and ask you to chime in on some questions. If anyone is currently using Finlocker, throw it in there, and we may interact towards the end of this conversation. So talk to us about this.
Yeah, Alex, this slide, we had some fun talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, I love this.
This really paints the picture for what's going on in the marketplace today. And so when you think about that early journey home buyer, and I'm going to center on first-time home buyers because I think people can really kind of wrap their arms around that. And by the way, you know, I'm sure Mike Frantinoni told your audience on the last webinar that about a third of the purchase business in the next 5 years will be first-time home buyers, right?
Yes.
That's a growing big segment. And it's not too early to engage with those consumers. And maybe they're a 2022 purchase, maybe they're a 2023 purchase, but what this slide is saying is today, that consumer is going to those apps that are on the left of the screen, the Mints, the NerdWallets, the Karmas of the world, the Zillows, the Lending Trees. They're going to these apps for some of the specific tools that these apps provide. Mint's giving you the budgeting and the spending analysis. The NerdWallet and the Karmas are helping people understand where they stand with respect to their credit and how to improve their credit. Obviously, Zillow has the real estate search, and Lending Tree and Bankrate and some others have embedded calculators. What we've built for lenders is this concept of a financial super app that takes much of that feature functionality that a consumer goes to each of these apps on the left for and provides it all in one app under the lender's logo. So again, it's now you as the lender providing this value to these consumers well up the funnel. And the reality of it is when they're on any of those apps on the left side of the screen, behind each of those apps is a marketplace where the consumer is the product. They're sold as a lead to other, you know, folks that are buying these leads. And then typically they're in a call center environment and they're rocking through those. And when you provide your prospect this tool, this Finlocker tool, there's a moat. You're putting a moat around that consumer. The relationship now is one-to-one between you as the lender providing this tool and the consumer, that nobody else is seeing what's going on in this consumer's locker. So it's protecting the consumer from kind of being inundated with other offers, and it's giving you as a lender value because it's really protecting your lead, your prospect.
I love it. I love it. KP, can we hear from you on this for just a second about the experience? And remember, if we're staying on topic here, which is don't leave your borrower's home alone in 2022. Everything Brian just mentioned, how does that relate to real-time use? Like, you know, we're trying to give people on this call the understanding of, look, if you leave them alone, you're going to have people come in and just rob. Like, it's going to happen. Your database is just going to get cherry picked, and you're out there looking in this direction, and people are picking your pocket, right? So how does something like this give you the chance to prevent that from happening and give something of value to your customer? How are you guys using this?
Well, I think it's key to make sure we hammer home the point, right? So we are in the fourth industrial revolution, right? So this thing right here, this cell phone I have right here, it's crooked. This cell phone I have right here gives you what you want, how you want, when you want, at the palm of your hands, interconnected globally, okay? It's more powerful than any computer we ever saw in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. And so with that access to information, with that on-demand society that we're in because of our smartphones, people have more information than ever before. And they are hunting and they are searching. I think I saw something like a borrower looks at like 9.3 places, let's call it 9 to 10 different places for information before engaging with an originator or a realtor. Okay, so they are hunting for information before picking up the phone. And then when they pick up the phone, if you're the first person they talk to, if you're the first person that's either a realtor or an originator,
Yes.
you're gonna get the deal like 65% of the time.
I think it's a little higher, Kevin,
to
just to give you more juice on that statement. It's 79% of the time.
Okay. 79% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Yes, exactly.
So, yes. So if they happen to be so like they're a big heavy shopper, they're gonna call 2 people. They're gonna talk to you and then another originator. Or maybe they call one of the online centers, but they don't like the vibe, and then they go hunting because online sucks, right? They want to talk to someone local. If you're one of the first 2 originators of realtors, that number used to be 88%. Now it's like 92% win ratio. Okay. So if you have a tool that like this, like Finlocker below, that you've handed to them to give them some of this information, and when they're ready to engage, you're there, you're going to win that deal overwhelmingly. You need to get them to engage you. But here's the other thing. When they engage you, you got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You got 5 minutes.
That's right.
The odds of you losing that deal, if when they're ready to engage, okay, they actually want to look up on their phone and talk to a human being, okay? If they're ready to engage, you got like 1 minute is like 90% conversion. If you don't call back within 5 minutes, it's over 90% loss. So these tools and these systems that you have to set up in place. Look, we're not all call centers, okay? And we beat all the online call centers because we win locally. We are rooted in our local communities. But you can use tools like this to play in that game, to play in that 4th industrial revolution game, to play in that speed to lead game. That's so critically important. And that's what we've been teaching this whole year to our people with the path to pivot. It's how to set up these systems, use more marketing automation, use more MarTech, have someone answering the phones, be ready to engage. And then next year, our campaign is about winning locally, using all those things we've pivoted to then root and dig our roots down even deeper in the local communities.
I love it. I love it. So there again, everyone listening, this is how you win. Sorry, Brian, and just right back to you.
All good, man.
This is how you use MarTech. I love that. I love that label and title. This is how you use MarTech in 2022 to make sure that your borrowers aren't being left home alone, right? This is the ability to fight on in multiple channels, but most importantly, you are building this trust and creating this sort of feet on the street and giving value in the first 60 seconds of communication. That's how you see KP and team using this. Share what we're looking at here, Brian.
Yeah, real quick, just to kind of piggyback on the last topic there with
Sure.
respect to winning local, speed to lead, right? I think that's another way of saying what KP was saying. What we think about is when you have tools like Sales Boomerang, tools like Finlocker they're evergreen, they're always working for you, right?
Yes.
They don't require anything. They're there working on your behalf. I look at it as extending the capacity and engagement capabilities of a local originator using tech, right? So in real time, 24/7, these tools, Boomerang and Finlocker, are engaging on your behalf and positioning you to be in that place when that consumer is now ready to raise their hand and say, it's time, let's do this. So that's one of the way I think about leveraging tech, is to extend the engagement of that local originator. This slide, Alex, is just another flavor of the last slide, but I think this puts it in the direct context of what consumers are doing
I love this slide.
early in their home buying journey. And again, let's just kind of anchor on that first time home buyer. You know, there's some obvious indicators when someone's in the market and starting the process, right? Real
Sure.
estate search. You know, they start searching online for properties, and we already know they go to Zillow, they go to Redfin, they go to other real estate sites. Every click in one of those sites creates a lead, and every lead is an opportunity that's sold into the market, right? So that's one leading indicator that's converted as a lead. The other one of the other leading indicators that that folks kind of start to go through is engaging with their credit, understanding how is my credit, how can I improve my credit. And so there's some of the apps that were on that prior screen that consumers will go to, again, to engage and do things that are necessary to improve credit if that's one of the things that's holding them back. And then engaging with online calculators, and there's a million of them out there, to understand how much can I afford, what would my payment be, what are some products I should be looking at. And again, every time someone's clicking, that's a lead. And then finally, that consumer who's getting a little bit deeper in the journey, now they really want to understand, based on my cash flow, my individual situation, can I qualify for a mortgage? And so when you start combining 1, 2, 3, then 4 of these indicators, you have a consumer with high intent who's getting deeper in the funnel and closer to that point of sale, kind of migrating through the point of thought process. And what we've been very intentional about at Finlocker, what we built into our product are these tools that really fulfill these 4 leading indicators, from embedded real estate search to engagement on credit, including simulating changes to a consumer's credit score, embedded calculators that sit on top of a consumer's direct source data, and finally, hyper-focused pre-qualification and pre-approval engines within a consumer's locker that drive a consumer from getting ready to getting pre-qualified, and then handing that consumer directly to the lender, including the consumer's data to start that mortgage process. So whether it's Finlocker, that's a solution for this, it's just good for people to understand that these are the things that consumers are doing. And
Yes.
all around the internet, these are creating leads and opportunities for others. And there are ways to, funnel your consumers into your own resource, your own tech that provides these same feature functionality. And now you've created kind of a captured prospect at that point.
Yeah. And what's great is it's like, look, a Finlocker, you have all this, but you also have this secure process. So there's a lot of organizations that can offer you pieces of this, but there's this extra layer of security and access to the consumer. So look, what Brian is saying is you need this, right? Finlocker or not Finlocker, Sales Boomerang believes the same thing. With Sales Boomerang or not, you need access to this and need to arm your team with these resources, but you also need to communicate this to your customers. That's very important. A lot of people seem to be on their heels when it comes to talking to their consumers about the technology they're investing in. Like they almost want to be like, I'm the hero. Look at me. I figured this out on my own. It's like, no, let your customers know you are investing in them through technology. And so look, here's this resource. We're always going to be here for you. Here's what's important to you. Here's why you should do this. And by the way, not just you, tell your friends, tell your family, they need to do this too. There's this. And this is how you start to build that relationship where you're not just talking to consumers when they're ready for a loan and you're just trying to sell them a loan or put them in a loan. You're also communicating with them in between on the things that are valuable to them that you are able to offer them. So important. And this is a great example of what Brian was just talking about here. So let's take this. Whoops, went one step too far. We're bringing KP back into the conversation here. This is such a cool question. Everyone needs to lean in. Stop emailing, texting, or talking to your friends next to you right now. Lean into this question because I love this. KP, is it possible to implement a consumer direct strategy at a local level? This is so cool.
100%. Really, when you set up your MarTech, when you set up your tech stack, when you set up all the things that are consumer direct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though you may be a one-person shop, right? It could be as simple as, your database in a CRM. It could be as simple as I bought leads that are in my city, right? I mean, that is consumer direct. Okay. Now, how advanced and how complex you want to make your consumer direct offering, it's totally up to you. Maybe you want to have a point of sale. You want to have a point of sale that you're getting links out to your bar to fill out the application. Maybe you don't want to get that consumer direct-esque. You still want to hammer every loan application yourself with your hands and your eyeballs and ask the questions over the phone. Okay, if that's what you want to do at your time. I personally think using a point of sale is a great idea because then you send them the link, they fill it out, then you set an appointment And then the time you're spending with them is asking them probing questions like, hey, I didn't say how many dependents do you have? Oh, you have 4, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Thank you for that information. In that same amount of time, you said, I see you have 4 children. What schools are you planning on going to? What neighborhoods are you looking at? I know the neighborhoods because I'm local. That time that you were going to spend typing in and asking basic information, you could be getting it back. Or you may already know it. Maybe you have some data that you got somewhere. But the point is, you can use tools to be consumer direct-esque, but then save time to then use your local knowledge that consumer direct companies do not have. Maybe you're a Spanish speaker and you're speaking to a Latino and they want to understand what you understand. And some online lender in Detroit, yeah, okay, maybe someone speaks Spanish on their headset. But when you say, ¿Qué onda? What's up? They're not in your neighborhood. They're not in your hood. If you're in Miami-Dade and you live in Hialeah, I think you might know some of the cool places to go to. Somebody who speaks Spanish on a headset in Detroit, they're not going to know that. So all these things that you know that's in your head, that's local, that you're going to win with, you can dabble in that consumer direct space as deep as you want to go, as much as you want to scale your business, but you can also combine that at scale if you want, but you can combine that with your local knowledge and win locally. That is the powerful combo. That's what we've been trying to build, and we think successfully built. We've got originators in our channels just doing fantastic volume on a local level.
I love that, Brian. I'm sure you have something to add. I just want to comment on this and this strategy. Remember the topic. Don't leave your customers home alone in 2022. Okay, this is exactly to that point. All right, you can go and have a consumer direct strategy, but with a bonus, with a supercharge, just like KP said. I wouldn't buy there for this reason because blank, blank, blank. Oh my goodness, like my area. There's nobody on a headset that can connect that well than with somebody saying, have you been on Fayette Street? Have you seen how that's developing? Yes, I have. Well, you're going to only be 5 minutes from Fayette Street. That's going to have all these new shops, all these new. Oh, thank you. I didn't even think about that. That kind of local consumer direct approach, man, it is a powerhouse approach. I love it. I don't know if you have any comments or not.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add, and this is just kind of an amplifier of KP's message. When we're talking to lenders today, and we're talking to lenders of all sizes and kind of in all markets, one of the consistent themes coming out, and sadly, it's not every lender. So, but there's a lot of lenders that are leaning in and looking forward. And one of the consistent themes is this concept of marrying high tech with high touch, and
Yes.
that's all about winning local to me. When you start talking about taking the best of the best from a local originator perspective and arming them with technology that 5 years ago would only been able to been deployed in the largest of large shops, and now deploying technology at a local level, you're bringing tech, you're stacking tech on top of a relationship strategy, and I think that's a no lose situation there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that addition. Now, look, let's get fun here. By the way, we have something to unveil at the end of this conversation. So stay tuned. Brian and I are going to talk about something special we want to do for the industry. But why don't we take this to and let me share with you guys a little bit about Sales Boomerang and why it's Brian and Alex on here and not some other technologies. So you just heard about Finlocker and how it can take the things that indicate a borrower is getting ready to do something, these 4 key indicators, which are extremely important. And then you have the secure place where all of their finances are held. So what does that do? It creates a much faster transaction, right? Homes don't stay on the market too long these days. So you need something to move things along fast. So you got an indicator. Now you have the secure place with finances. You can act quickly. How does Sales Boomerang play into this? So when somebody's interacting with the app and you see activity, you can take action. Fantastic. But what if the consumer is not quite sure yet, right? What if they're just sitting around, they're not taking action? How do you become this intelligence engine to become the trust engine for your consumers? Well, here's where Sales Boomerang steps in. Sales Boomerang says, look, here are all the people in your database that are either looking for a loan or ready for a loan right now. You have a scenario where let's just use KP, and we know this is going to be hot in 2022. Here's everyone. 1.44% of your current database today is probably qualified for a cash out with you right now. Well, Sales Boomerang will deliver that to you so you know, yes, you will send them to that wonderful experience that Brian is talking about, but you can actually start the conversation before they hit the market, right? Before they're out shopping. You are the one that's creating the opportunity for your customer, not responding to a potential intent, right? You're possibly creating the intent. They're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do this. Well, yes, you can. So here are all the different things that Sales Boomerang focuses on in your database. So think about this for just a moment. We're talking about not leaving your customers alone in 2022. Currently, your database produces, this is as of the last 30 days, and we're going to show you in real life in just a second. Within the last 30 days, 11.69 of an entire database could have a mortgage-related event. That is people in your database, right, that could be ready for a mortgage right now. So if you have 10,000 people, it's over 1,100 that today in 1 month that could have had a mortgage related event. Okay. Now, it all depends on the size of your database. It all depends on the quality of your database, but that is what could be happening. So understand going into 22 where opportunities are going to be scarce and you want to add value. You don't want to call and ask questions. You don't want to be that lender that goes, so I know the rates aren't exactly where they're supposed to be, but you could still have an opportunity. Have you thought about looking at the, stop that. Like that's not value. That's fishing. That's forcing. That's not serving. That's forcing an event. Instead, you're saying, hey, looks like you are qualified for this program. Hey, looks like you just listed your home for sale. Hey, looks like you've improved your credit from where it was the last time we spoke. Oh, looks like you're in the market today. Can I give you a second opinion? Those are all going to be extremely important in 2022 and getting there timely with value. Timely with value. How quickly does a program like Sales Boomerang begin to work for you? Day one. It's day one. It's not, I turn this on and then I have to wait 60 days to see if my database is active. This is a real life example of an organization. This is from November of an organization that turned on the system with 37,055 records. And day one, when they turned it on, they had 79 opportunities for over $19 million in value. Now, imagine you get a notification from Sales Boomerang, FHA MI removal, right? Or some sort of streamline or a cash out even. If you have a Finlocker, you're contacting your customer with good news and you're moving them right along into the process. If they say yes, oh my goodness, you're up and moving quickly. And your customer's like, wow, this was kind of painless and frictionless. This is really cool. So you're calling them with good news, an opportunity they can benefit from. And then you're going through the process quickly and easily, which again is probably why PRMG is moving at such a fast pace and growing at such a fast pace because you've systematically put these things together on purpose. But let's go back to this slide for a second. Day 179, week 1, 621. In the first month, this group with 37,000 records had nearly 2,000 people from their database. That's their customers, their leads, their pipeline, their prospects, their recent turndowns that have either fixed their credit, whatever they've done. Over 2,000, almost 2,000 opportunities for almost $500 million in 1 month that lived inside their database. So why are we here together, me and Brian, talking about not leaving your customers home alone? This is it. This is part of it, right? This is part of making sure that your customers aren't left alone and that you know what is in store for them. You're not calling to fish, you're calling to deliver fish, right? Like, I have this great news. Would you like to take the value that this is that's available to you? And so taking all of that into consideration, right? Taking all of that into consideration, the safe place to keep financials, the ability to see when somebody's engaging with your offering through the mobile app, and with Sales Boomerang delivering all of these opportunities the moment your borrowers are ready for them and are qualified for them. You guys have heard this. Again, the KP mentioned somewhere in Detroit, not you, Brian, but there's another company in Detroit that has said to everyone in this industry, push button, get loan. Well, we all know that is a marketing system and it works phenomenally well, right? Obviously, they understood the market and they know how simple people want to be able to do a mortgage. So they made it simple. Push button, get loan, but that just gets you on the phone with somebody and then they do your loan for you. What we're talking about right now, and take note of this, what Finlocker and Sales Boomerang want to do is we actually want to make that a reality. When we deliver a loan scenario that says, hey, this borrower is qualified for a streamline or a cash out right now, and with all of the secure, safe data that Finlocker has in place, there is a time, and we're going to be working towards this together as a team, that when we deliver a notification and you have Finlocker, there's a chance that they will literally go, I'm in. And the system goes to work. We know what they're qualified for. We know all their financials. They don't have to look for anything. We have all their documents. They just need to check a couple boxes and say yes. And that is exactly what we're working on together. Push button, get loan. That is the goal, but make it real, not a marketing ploy. And it's going to be coming from you, not a big organization. Again, nothing against what they've done, but it's going to be coming from you, each individual lender, from KP and PRMG, from all the different, you guys, why don't you guys throw in the names of the companies you're in from? And that is the name that this push button is going to come from you, from your lender and, or from your organization. And it's going to be accurate and it's going to be simple. And we're going to finally get to a place where people have, and here it comes, guys, it's going to come out. They finally have a financial friend, a real financial friend. Because remember what friend embodies. We're all talking about trust and advisors and being there and relationship. Friend embodies all of that. And that's what your borrowers need, a financial friend. And the only way you can be a friend to them is that you know what's happening in their lives. You can make the process fast and easy for them. You can streamline it, and you're not leaving them alone to fend for themselves. And hopefully somebody doesn't pop in and say, hey, I got something for you, but it may not be for them, meaning for the borrower. It may be for them, the lender, selfishly selling something so they can get their numbers right, and rather than giving something of value to the customer. So we've come to the end of this conversation with plenty of time for Q&A. I've seen some people raise their hands. While we're waiting for you guys to throw in some questions or raise your hands, Brian, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this while people are getting their thoughts together.
Yeah, no, you and I have talked about this over the last few years, and the platforms, they're so complementary, right?
Oh yeah.
The level of value that Sales Boomerang provides a lender across their database to monitor and stay on top of opportunities, but it's also staying on top of activity. And if you don't know what's going on, how do you protect it? And when you combine kind of what you do at what I'll call a macro level, right, with what Finlocker does at a micro level, right down to the consumer level, there's just,
I love that.
It makes all the sense in the world to kind of have a combined solution there. And so we're super excited to kind of explore this and really build out something special for the industry.
I love it. I love it. And it's finally going to be that thing that everyone's been sort of talking about. So I have someone that raised their hand. Cheryl, I think, was earlier. I have a question here from Sean. So does Sales Boomerang work in conjunction with Encompass loan platform? So Sales Boomerang ties into your CRM and marketing automation platform. We also have an integration with Encompass, but Encompass is only one way. We collect information from them and we can't put it to work. So the goal is to integrate with an automated system like a CRM or a marketing automation platform that you have, so that when we ingest the data, when we ingest the loans, the turndowns, the opportunities that you're working on, then we can automatically deliver the alert and push out an email or a text message or some sort of reminder to your existing team for the action that needs to be taken. So yes, we work with Encompass, but truly the integration, the heavy integration, the real valuable integration comes from your CRM, so that we can automate things for your team, so they're not just stuck doing everything manually. So just wanted to make sure you understand. Sean, let me know if that answered your question for you. Great question. What else do we have here? Brian, you want to copy that message that you just wrote and put it to everyone? You just wrote it to me personally. No one else can see that. So I would throw that into the chat for everyone to see. What other questions do we have? Anything you can put into chat? I probably have the ability to allow you to talk. So if you want to raise your hand, like Cheryl, raise your hand. Cheryl, do you want to speak up and share your thoughts with everyone, or do you want to type something in the chat? What would you like? As we have a few minutes left to answer some questions. Don't forget, KP is still on. If you have questions for KP, he's the one that's taken both of these technologies and supercharged them. I mean, truly, there's very few organizations that have automated their tech stack, their MarTech stack, to the level that KP and PRMG has. So if you have questions for him, throw him in here. He is selfless. Honestly, he does this to help the industry. I mean, he could just sit in his office and they could be successful and not share anything. But if you don't follow KP on LinkedIn, you should. He gives insights into the industry all the time, and he joins conversations like this because of his giving back personality. So any questions for him?
I think if I were to talk about abundance mindset and then not share even our internal thoughts, I'd be a fraud. And I know this industry is traditionally run by older white male stodgy bankers in a suit somewhere that absolutely are not going to be on camera doing what we're doing today. But I'm 45. I'm kind of in this little middle zone between those boomers and the millennials and even Gen Z. Millennials and Gen Z, they're like more than willing to be your fast friend. You want a financial friend? They want a financial friend. They want a fast financial friend. They want to give you their Bank of America account information. Hell, they're not Bank of America. They got PayPal, or they got, Zelle, or they've got, all this other stuff. They've got all these, they've got their Finlocker. They are more than willing to give you all their information so you could see all their stuff because they need a financial friend.
Yes.
So, this MarTech automation that we're doing, having triggers, having things, Sales Boomerang, just to give people a little history, gosh, it's going on 4 years now. And we tested you guys out. I did the contract for 10,000 records, which was our portfolio at the time. And I'm happy to say that in our 4th year of relationship together, we're up over 500,000 records.
Over 500,000 records.
Nice.
And it's very important to understand why KP is sharing this, because the discovery and Sales Boomerang is a big proponent to this. And we're big into pilots. Like, the last thing we want to do is have anyone put all their eggs in one basket and then feel like that is not producing the results that they want. So we're big into pilots. And as KP is saying, started with 10,000, but the only reason KP is up to 500,000 is not because we're best friends and we drink half the stuff that's standing behind him. I'd gladly sit there with him and drink again. It's because it works to generate real life opportunities that matter today, and consumers enjoy that. And his team, I've spoken at conferences, spoken to many people on his team. They love giving back to their borrowers, but even more importantly, in this day and age where we're going right now, they love giving back to their agents, to their realtors, right? And so KP, I love that that shout out. Real quick, Brian, I think you may have something to say. I got a couple questions that popped up. Let's see if I can answer them. I'm with Stockholm Mortgage, and we have done and we do have Sales Boomerang. We love it, and it saved me a deal last month. Fantastic, sure. I love that. Thank you for calling that out. I appreciate that. We have another one. We do use Encompass CRM now, but looking at a different, more cost-effective measure. Sean, best thing you can do is schedule some time with somebody on our team. We will give you insights as to exactly what you're looking for. So if you're looking for your system to do blank, 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 we'll say, here's the CRM partner you want to work with. We work with all of them. You can also do the same thing with Brian. I'd imagine KP could give you the same advice. So you've seen all the information that's available. Any one of us, you can email or contact. I'll put our contact information up again. Any one of us that you want to contact, we can give you insights as to, what you're going from to what you want to get out of your CRM. We know all the players, and we can give you ideas. There's amazing systems out there. So don't fear that the one you have isn't everything you need. I promise you there's some more tech out there that can give you what you need. Awesome. Brian, anything you want to add?
No, just thank you, Alex, and the Sales Boomerang team. These webinars are always super insightful. I've been looking forward to this one since we kind of put it on the calendar. It's always fun. It's always fun to riff with you guys. Appreciate everything you're doing for the industry, KP. I love you. And just glad to be here. I hope everybody has a great and restful holiday season and comes out ready to hit it hard in 2022.
That's what I'm talking about. Brian, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure. We've been waiting for this, and it's here, and we're finally getting to speak to the audience together, and we're going to do a lot more of this moving forward. So, and KP, thank you again.
Thank you. Remember, you always say KP, but it's PRMG. There's 2,800 people that stand side by side with me, not behind me, not below me. We're all side by side. We have a big team, and then obviously the Finlocker and Sales Boomerang teams. You guys have our backs too, so we really appreciate it. Great call. I know some people are already asking for the recording of some good nuggets in here, and wish everyone a strong finish on the run of 21, and it's time to build a new you in 22.
Woo, look.
I love it.
Hey, we're going to steal that one. That's a good one. Say that again, KP.
Finish 21 on the run and to get ready to build a new you in 22.
Oh, I love it. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. You guys will get the copy of this. Brian, thank you. KP, thank you. And the team, thank you so much.